All right, I think it's about time we start jumping into the deck list right away. Welcome to day 2 of the Invitational 2. A lot of 2s, but it's gonna be really fun. I'm here today without Lance. Unfortunately, he could not make it today, but that's all good. We're not on a delay today, so I can have a lot of fun talking to you, chat, while of course casting these games for you. I think now we're gonna jump into the deck list. We're gonna take a look at them because we have both Kwild and Sartndf. It's Sartndf. There we go. A lot of letters. It's a bit difficult to say, but let's have a look at the deck list, shall we? I'm really happy that you guys are joining me today. We'll be getting the invites, of course, shortly. And while we wait for those, we're going to check it out, see what we find here in the deck list. Okay, Inspired Zeal list. I think we can start off with that one. Very standard in terms of going all in here on the commando strategy and the extra siege. We've seen this deck multiple times, and yesterday when we were casting some games with Lance, I feel like this deck maybe struggled a little bit at times with really finding its key pieces, of course being defender, fullest, and commandos round 1. So let's see if today's players are a little bit luckier in that regard and can actually manage to find all of the key cards as they want to queue this on blue coin, create as many commandos as possible, then go into a short round and bleed the opponent in between there with the siege for an explosive short round 3. Very satisfying seeing those commandos come out of the deck there, so a lot of fun. After that, we can move on to the Aligned Pockets deck. I don't believe I have bans just yet, but maybe I can check it out. All right, no updates yet, but I will update you later. Hello, Evertron, how's it going? Hey, chat, really happy to have you with me here. It's gonna be a little bit lonely, but you guys are here with me, so I'm really excited. Light Pockets, pretty standard. We see this non-devotion version fit the Witchfinder instead of something like Shock to really maximize on the damage value you get with the Tunnel Drill, as well as the Whoreson. Cleaver being another really good card in this list, and Professor being quite useful to have included. Reckless Flurry. Syndicate list, pretty straightforward. I don't think we're a stranger, and if we continue yesterday's pattern, then we'll likely see a ban on this Lined Pockets list. Lance is definitely not dead, but Lance unfortunately couldn't make it today, so I'm here alone. Lance will be back one day for sure, so I can guarantee you don't have to worry too much. He's not dead. Reckless Flurry, kind of a standard red coin list here. If you want to fit the Sunset Wonders, which is a good card to fit here, you ideally go for the discard package to maximize that Sunset Wanderer's value. What you want to do is really push your opponents on red coin if you have a good hand to do so, and then hopefully get out the juice while still having pretty powerful cards left. So this seems to have a red haze included, which is pretty interesting in an open deck list. No Maddox here, but we do have this little bomb in there in the 4 provision slot. It's kind of nice because your opponent will have to kind of consider that the whole time. At least you won't have to mute the mom jokes. That's true, that's true. Also, there should be an echo today. I think we've kind of covered that. Still waiting for the bans, of course, but I'll keep you updated, dear chat. All right, we can then look at the Tactical Decision list, which is a hyper-thin deck that we're going for. Of course, the usual suspects. A lot of buffed cards for hyper-thin, making it extra good. We do have a Heat Wave included here to kind of make sure you can deal with anything. Yeah, I know, no echo today. No need to worry about that. Of course, you thin your deck, and then you have the finishing place with Triss, Yen, Divination, kind of these mid provision goals. They are pretty easy to fit in, but with really high payoff, and that's what this deck aims to do. The sound is almost perfect. Wonderful. Double Blightmaker in here to really make sure you thin this deck. Maybe we have an off target with the Nilfgaardian Knight, just in case something happens with the good old Imperial Golem there at 6 provisions. No All God, but instead kind of getting that Heat Wave in for some extra control. Don't know the bans yet, but I think we can move on to Kwild's list and check those out. He will of course be playing against Sartndf. I feel like I will just call him Sart, yeah. It's yep. It's not that smooth to say, but hey, it works. Hey, yeah, good to see you. Good to see you. Kwild's list. Let's check out these. A little bit different. We do see a monsters here. Force of Nature is included with the Sunset Wanderers and the Cave Troll. Big fan of this. No heat wave here. We're not spending provisions on removal. We're going right for the point slime, and I kind of like that strategy, I do have to admit. Fitting 2 Witch Apprentices. Those can be really useful engines when bleeding or getting bled, and a Ghoul and a Gadkeen as well as the double larva. Couple 4 provision cards here. Kikimora Workers being pretty good. Archospores, nice if you draw them around 1 ink and thin. Other than that, your main draw combo is Cave Troll and Kiranthier. This deck has the little bronze thinning and an Oneiromancy, so you sure are hoping that you can actually find your cards, but maybe Maxi will help you out potentially there. So yeah, pretty flexible list overall. You can either win round 1, try to win round 1 is pretty ideal for Koshi to have kind of this round control. Then bleed your opponent and potentially even 2-0 if things are looking really good. Yeah, we do see a Taskmaster here. It's kind of working in place of something like Agora or Caretaker, just a cheaper option there. Of course, you do need to have dominance, but maybe with something like Sunset Wanderer or She Who Knows the Dominance is not too far-fetched. But yeah, it's just a cheap purify kind of there, because we do see a lot of 5 provision cards in this list, and to fit all of it with the double Endrical Larva you have to cut some stuff, and the cuts here seem to be Agora, Heatwave, Caretaker, those provision range cards. Okay, I see Kwild typing, so I'm sure he'll let us know what's going on here. Inspired Zeal, we can move on to this list, Northern Realms Blue Coin list, of course. Also Commandos, this has a little Kudak tech, which is nice for any kind of Nilfgaard, any kind of locks or poisons from Syndicate potentially. You can get some good value out of that one. And yeah, of course, again, create your Commandos. We have a little bit of extra removal here with the Seltkirk being included. It can be a really nice card, especially for NR when you're lacking kind of tools to deal with something like Koshi. So Kwild has decided to go for that one. Okay, and we have the coins. So Kwild will be on Blue Coin, and he has banned Syndicate. And Sart, on the other hand, has banned the Hyperthin list here from Kwild, choosing to let lined pockets go through. Quite an interesting ban, but really respecting this Hyperthin list here. So we won't be seeing this from Kwild. The Hyperthin here, but we will be seeing lined pockets, so we can kind of jump into that one and talk about it a little bit, right? Yeah, this is an interesting list. We have no I mean, it's non-devotion. We're fitting the Professor here instead of Witchfinder and instead of Shock. We're saying this added control of having Professor is gonna help quite a bit, which it indeed can. It's definitely a nice 12 provision card to have there. Removes any 4 power engine right off the bat, plus it gets the bounty on anything. Can work together with things like Horsun, and yeah, the bounty is just really valuable in a deck like this. As you can see, there's a ton of removal going on. And Heatwave, of course, included here, along with the Sunset Wanderers. And yeah, this is a very strong list, which is going to go through, and I think Ebertron makes a great point here in chat to that. Tactical Decision is scary when it draws well. If you don't have any kind of text for it, you do see Ball decks, for example, bringing things like Gorther and Cantarella, which can be really useful to mess a little bit with your opponents there and mess with Hyperthin decks. Or even an Aphiri Merchant tech. We saw one from Blastoline in the qualifiers this weekend, so you never know what people are up to, and if you're missing kind of those tech cards, maybe you really have to respect this Hyperthin deck. At least Sart is choosing to do so. All right, chat, what do you think about these lists? Anything fun in particular? Anything about the bands that you think maybe the hyper thing shouldn't be banned here? Maybe it's the lined pockets, or do we think that Sart here, let me show his decks again, has enough tools to deal with the lined pockets list? Maybe you're trying to get it on blue coin, force it to go on blue coin. That's a really, really nice thing. If that would happen for you, you can use something like a Reckless Flurry. Kwild is of course hoping that kind of situation won't happen, because the weakness of these lined pockets list is actually having to go on blue coin. All right, but yeah, those are the bans. Of course, Kwild will be going on blue coin, so I think we can suspect that there will be an inspired Zeal list coming in hot from blue coin. Quite useful. And then Sart could answer with maybe Reckless Flurry. Really hope to push, or even tempo it out with the hyper thing. We do see double Blind Maker here for all the thinning, and Alba Armored Cavalry, double Alba, meaning we do have some lock options in this deck right here. And yeah, I think SK on red coin is really happy against Syndicate a lot of the time. Syndicate going on blue is kind of a weakness for it. So if you can snipe that kind of a matchup where Syndicate has to go on blue, of course we know there's Inspired Zeal, which will likely be the blue coin deck, of course. Yeah, but Reckless Flurry can definitely do damage if you queue it on red and you're able to push your opponents. Like pushing Syndicate winning on even is a really nice way of tackling it, and you can do it with a lot of these decks. You could do it with Nilfgaard, you could do it with Reckless Flurry, either way, put points on the board. So I think if Kwild is actually forced to go on blue with the lined pockets list, he might definitely find that Syndicate has a couple of weaknesses there. Of course, this is a tournament with set coins, so I think Kwild will try to avoid it, although he has the designed blue coin list, Inspired Zeal there. So we shall see. I think Kwild is kind of alright with the Koshi actually going on blue coin here. His Nilfgaard, of course, is banned, so kind of has the red coin deck, and then being the Syndicate list. Okay, we have a bit of an update. We will get the invites really shortly and jump into a couple of games. And Akotaj says the Devotion Seal without envoys look like they are very high rolly. And that is definitely true, but the reason for why people aren't really running any envoys is that you can guarantee getting this cursed scroll on blue coin in a tournament setting, which is maybe not always super efficient on ladder, but in a tournament getting blue coin and also having this stratagem can really help you out. And yes, Infern, I have absorbed the lands, and now I am both of us today, so that'll be a lot of fun for sure. Well, I am lands. I will come up with some mom jokes later, I promise. Just keep the land spirit alive. It really sounds like he's dead, but he's not, trust me. He's all right. He's busy. Okay, so we'll be waiting for the invites. Then we will jump into the games. Really quite exciting, couple things to sort out still, but my point with the envoys was gonna be that you don't really need those extra cards. I mean, envoy is a really nice card, but you have to also high roll that one because you need to draw around one to be able to kind of guarantee your draws. It can also be a little bit slow on blue coin, so I'm not sure that the Inspired Zeal list really wants to run it. You are pretty happy just having Blue Stripes Commandos in round one. Like I said yesterday, a lot of people definitely missed out on having those Commandos round one. And of course, you want to roll your Siege. It is a high rolly list, I'll give you that. It is definitely a really good point. But the envoys, I think, aren't going to help too much unless you also high roll those and can play them round one. So I can see not choosing to run those here. Commandos with no tutors. Well, you do have Natalis being an amphibious assault tutor, as well as the cursed scroll, which you can grab any card you like. All right, so just to remind you guys, no Nilfgaard from Kwild and no Syndicate from Sart. We're actually going to see a syndicate game, so we're going to see how that works out. Mulligans are tutors if you draw well. There you go. Infert said it. All right, and as always, go check out the command advanced.gg. Just like to remind you before we start, check out our awesome sponsors for this event and get a free sample of your own TLG TI2 at checkout. Okay, we seem to have a event happening. Our first series is about to go down, you guys. This is exciting stuff. Let's see here, of course, Kwild. Good on blue coin. I'm expecting to see Northern Realms will start answer with something like Skellige, or will this be too predictable that Kwild chooses to kind of queue something else on blue coin? But he does have the syndicate list, which I don't think that's a list you want to queue on blue coin. Koshi you could queue on blue coin, but it's so flexible and works on both coins. But maybe it's Koshi, maybe it's NR. I think more likely to be NR. We'll see. And let's see how good these draws will be. Yeah, we go with Koshi. We don't want to run into like a Skellige answer here, anything like that. And Koshi works on both coins. Eventually, you definitely want to take that NR list on blue coin. But here, maybe you were hoping you're not going to queue into Skellige. So Sart here, answering with Nilfgaard. A lot of points if the draws are good and things go well. Yeah, you have a game plan with a lot of points and a short round that will be super explosive. Let's see here, Kwild definitely needs to find a little bit better cards here. We're looking at a very bronze heavy hand. Of course you are on blue coin, so you're not too stressed. But we'll see what the mulligans bring us. Golem, of course, has to go back in the deck. Sart with double engine here. Snowdrop, DMT round 1, very good stuff. And a Blightmaker, I see. We can definitely threaten some tempo on the board. We have our Arcaspore and the Endrega Warrior here ready to consume thin the deck a little bit. As said, Kwild doesn't really have other ways than Maxi or Aneromancy to find Karanthe or Koshi. So maybe this Maxi is going to be Kwild's best friend here in round 1. We'll see. Predictions. You can do what Pab says. Type 1 if you predict 1. Type 2 if you... I don't know which one is 2 and which one is 1, but that's up to you maybe. Alright, classic opener. Hey, Kwild with the Larva. One of the Larva did go back in the deck. It's a little bit slow to play double Larva as your opening play on blue coin. But we have a lot of other stuff and we're happy to see this in Neromancy as well. Just to be able to tutor out any cards that we might be missing. Maxi then, it is nice for Kwild to have here so that he can take a peek in the deck, see where his Koshi's at, and if he needs to shuffle the deck, maybe we can keep our eyes open as well. Sart opens here with a Adept. The nice thing about open deck lists is you know what threatens your engines, and if there is no threats, you can just go ahead and play it. Now we're going for the DMT here, of course, Dead Man's Tongue, to thin the deck, boost our engine up. Not really threatened by anything tall. There was no heat wave in Kwild's list, so there's no need to not boost this. And immediately it starts taken as Sart has thinned his deck a little bit. Roach also coming out there as we play a gold card. Nice mod pasta in chat. Very, very lovely. Okay, let's see. Kwild is deciding on the Maxi here. I didn't quite catch where the Koshis were. I think we might have been looking at a shuffle. We shall see. Maybe I should have been able to screenshot that really fast so we know what was going on. But yeah, Maxi's out. So now Kwild has a little bit better of a view on what's coming in the deck. He can still play a little bit slow, but Sart definitely has the points that are threatening to come on the board pretty soon. Also, best boys here in the deck, extra 3 points if that comes out. Not too bad. It was my application. One day, maybe Inference will be mod when I don't have too many mods. Okay, and here comes the Consume. Quite nice to find the Endrega Warrior. Maybe you're even happier to see something like Brewis, just to make those Crones a little bit better later. Sart getting ahead here, and Best Boy coming out to boost him up. And Kwild has an engine, that can be dealt with here if Sart chooses to spend his lock. Maybe that's something he wants to save for a Koshi, but with the Vilgefortz, you know, maybe we can just take the lock here, because right now Sart is threatening a win on even, and if he wins on even, he's not really scared and doesn't have to save those locks for the Koshis in the best case scenario. Also, Kwild's Wanderers will come out here, adding a little bit of extra tempo, which is nice, but not having an engine is not ideal for Kwild online right now. And finding the larva, that is not what you want to see. You might want to check if you can see She Who Knows anything with big tempo, but this larva was mulliganed away for a reason earlier. You don't want to see it because it is a little bit too slow playing double larva, especially now that you've played all of your Thrive stuff. So this Endrega larva is not ideal. And Sart pushing the tempo. This is really nice for Hyperthin. It can do this. It can play a lot of its resources kind of early to just put the tempo on the board, because they're aiming to go for a really short round 3 anyway. Sart is in no rush here, and if Kwild would want it, here is his pass. But I think Sart would definitely be pretty happy if that would happen, just because he can take the round with a bronze there. Kwild going for the defender, not giving up the round, maximizing the Thrive value as well. I think what we might be looking at here next from Kwild is an Necromancy into She Who Knows that will stay behind that defender, making the bleed nice then if you want to go for it in round 2. Yep, we're going for the Necromancy. Let's see what Kwild picks here. It is the She Who Knows. She's really safe here behind the defender, so it's a really good choice. Sart, on the other hand, does have the Wanderers come down here for an extra bit of tempo. Not even stressing about this leader yet, because this Sunset Wanderer will get Sart ahead. The question now for Kwild, is he trading this Taskmaster for something? The Ivor is actually looking pretty alright on this Kikimor worker here, removing it for Sart if Sart chooses to play. So now it's just, I mean, Kwild is going down on even. The question is, does he want to trade? Is he happy with the She Who Knows carryover that he has already? But yeah, Sart was able to really smork it out. We can see how much he's thinned already with the Blightmakers. This is quite big, and saving the leader as well. Still winning on even against Koshi, the deck that is known for its point slam. Kwild forced to take a pass here. And Sart, of course, happy winning on even. Look at this 20-point Viper Witcher add. Of course, it was boosted from Dead Man's Tongue, but it is pretty chonky, that one. What happens with a full board of Wonders? That's actually a really good question. I have no clue what happens with a full board of Wonders, if it would come out or not. Alright, let's see here. Of course, the Alba Armored Cavalry is a useful card here, along with the Heatwave for any kind of removal that you need. The She Who Knows could be locked, could be Heatwave, could be Vilgefortz. Of course, Vilgefortz ideally pulls out your Golem at the very end, but it could come down earlier if you really need to. Kwild is quite happy here. He did find the Koshi, and the loss on even isn't as horrible because of this She Who Knows. Definitely defending the points a little bit on Kwild's side of the board here. So if he can get out of this pickle and actually hold on to sub Koshi and hold on to the leader, I don't think he's in trouble, but Hyperthin will have a lot of points if everything goes well in that short round 3. They stay in hand. Are you sure, Bane? Wanderer stay in hand. Alright, so now Sart can choose what to do here. The Ivor will be enabled for one more turn, but Kwild probably isn't going to be playing anything too tall, so maybe you could go and shorten the round even further. It seems, though, that Sart is happy just taking the round. This is actually interesting because we know that Kwild will draw his Coranthier into the Koshi, and of course you do have the options to lock it and all of that, but we'll see here. Also the leader, the leader will not be too amazing here in the short round for Sart. All right. here we go. Let's see what Kwild still needs to find. There's the Sartndf, which is certainly going to be the Neuromancy target. All right, we have a little bit of a interesting card graphic here, but I think it's the Ratcatcheress that we found here. All right, so that was an interesting pass. I think Kwild is pretty happy in terms of points. Of course, the Koshis will be locked, but there's another engine here with the Witch Apprentice. If Triss can hit something, we do have 2 cards, of course, here. The Fawn. Do you have to put 3 cards back, actually? No, it's up to you. You don't have to put it. So you can still go for the leader, pull out your Fawn, put the Golem back in the deck and guarantee hitting it with all of these hyper thin payoff cards. We might be looking at Sart just having enough points here by all of these kind of hyper thin payoff cards now. And the control, I think the control on the Koshi will be important here. Otherwise, Kwild definitely has a very threatening amount of points on the board as well. But we did see a lock come down on this larva, bit of an early lock. The interesting thing is we know about Kwild's Purify tech. He does have the Taskmaster. Maybe that is why you're not even bothered to lock a Koshi, but rather remove it with Triss and Heatwave. Those are also options. And you take this larva, it still has time to grow. So locking it here is definitely decent. Here's the Sarth, boosting himself up. No tall removal, of course, from Kwild, so Sart does not have to worry. He doesn't have to worry about the sequencing too much. He can put tall units on the board early enough. And here is the Piglet coming in before the Sartndf and the Koshi, hoping to reach Sabbath at some point soon. If we're worried about row space, Bruce actually has a Consume. She can take care of a larva and clear some row space, potentially. And yeah, let's see what Sart will decide to do here. You have the option of dealing with this piggy, but of course the Koshis are a little bit more threatening, and those might be the targets that you really want to make sure to get rid of. It's the control here, I think, that matters for sure. I think chat is kind of right pointing out here that Kwild is struggling a little bit with points. Of course, this Nilfgaardian Knight comes down on the Witch Apprentice to help this Ivar get a good amount of value. Basically, the points that was put on this pig will transform to Ivar anyway, so it's no problem running an off target with the Nilfgaardian Knight for your hyper thin, and just having it there is definitely useful. Okay, Sartndf into Baby Koshi. Here we go. Of course, we know it's quite easy here to get answered. Triss is guaranteed to kill any Koshis. Leader here, nice points. Witch Apprentice is still ticking. I guess the timing with the Ivar Evil Eye is actually a little bit awkward here. In terms of the second Koshi coming down next, you really want to deal with it, but you also want to get your Ivar Evil Eye value. And here we go. Triss removing the Baby Koshi. Next Koshi online, and the points are looking very even. We are neck and neck. Ivar has to come down, meaning this Koshi will trigger an extra turn. I think that can be important, but you don't want to miss out on this Ivar value either. It is a little bit too good to just have him play for 4 points of damage. All right, let's see. The pig will still be taking Koshi, of course. Extra turn. Playing the Wispus here to make sure we get the Thrive curve nicely. This is interesting though. Of course, never mind. He boosted the Koshi. My bad. My eyes were lying to me. The Koshi did get an extra puck, and now it will be dealt with. Heatwave a little bit slow. We of course do know that Yennefer Divination is gonna hit this Imperial Golem. Vilgefortz, on the other hand, can damage something on Sart's own side of the board, the Morven or the Triss, or yeah, any of those seem like good targets to Vilgefortz to have your Golem come back. So the points are definitely there. Ratcatcheress will play for a decent amount of points, triggering all the Thrives still left on the board, as well as this pig playing for additional 2. So it will be actually a pretty close one considering all the Koshis did get answered. Let's see here. Sart, of course, playing this Vilgefort for a solid 14 points. As we have the Golem come down and taking this by 1 point. That is insane. We had so many games like these earlier as well. Yesterday when we were looking at these games, the games were so close. This was a pretty cool game. I think Hyperthin kind of looked like the clear winner there for a little bit, but Koshi just proving it has so many points. It is quite amazing. Okay. Checking that if anyone's trying to reach out to me and have some new updates, but it seems like Tournament Client is working really nicely and we get to jump into the next game. Let's see here. Would have tied if he played the Rat Catcher first. Did he play a Relict that actually procced it? You mean before the Koshis? You still have the Evil Evil Eye, of course, that was able to go on the Piglet, but maybe it would go on the Rat Catchers then instead. But yeah, the Ghoul is not a Relict, so at least it doesn't proc from that. But maybe you're talking about way earlier. Because yeah, it does threaten to get removed, plus it doesn't have the Sabbath effect either. Although the damage was definitely very limited. He played the Crone first and then the Ratcatcher. So the Crone could have come down after the Ratcatcher and still the Koshi Thrives would all have procced since it was so low. Yeah, it would have been a tie that way. Yeah, you're right. I think all of the Thrives would have still procced that way on the Thrive curve. Okay, let's look at the Commandos versus Koshi. Koshi, of course, again, really flexible, pretty happy usually on red coin. So that is what Kwild will be bringing. Choosing not to bring Syndicate on red coin here. Maybe he says the Syndicate has a hard time answering the Foltest, and I mean, it's a fair thing. Koshi can be good into Foltest. They usually just play 3 cards and pass. So that's why we see this Maxi coming down here. Maybe we'll see we have some good cards here. Maybe actually want to save the Lara. I'm wondering, will the Arcaspor come down here? Maybe we're even tutoring out a Bruis. That's an option, I guess. There was one 6 points Larva, so I don't think it matters. Yeah, you guys would have to watch the VOD. I'm sure that Kwild was aware of his Thrive curve there as well. And I didn't see, at least when in the moment, that it would have the Ratcatchers first would have been better. But maybe someone has better eyes than me and can update us on that later. Anyway, really close game. Okay, here comes the Ratcatchers. Fair enough. We're going to play one more card after this and pass. The thing with Koshi is it has a bit of a difficult time dealing with Foltest, which is why it kind of just wants to play a couple of cards, then take the pass, defend the bleed while still holding on to the Koshi and the Caranthier, ideally, at least Koshi and Leader, to be able to have a lot of points in a short round, while your opponent will likely bleed you. Of course, the bleed is a little bit questionable if you don't find your Siege. Sart, of course, is playing a deck that is the closest to actually efficiently dealing with Koshi because of this Selkirk and the Margarita that is teched here as well. Could see the Margarita come down here to make sure the She Who Knows does not get value. Of course, Kwild could respond to that with his own Taskmaster that could purify the She Who Knows then from the lock because he has dominance. We'll see. No, it is usually not better to go all in round 1 as Koshi. Koshi can defend a bleed into Siege quite efficiently. Rather than try to contest round 1 and still lose it. That's kind of a place you don't want to be in. Ideally, you want to see the commandos come out though, which is what is happening here. Defender and Foltest, disgusting draws. Yep, pretty good. And of course, we can guarantee finding Siege because of the Cursed Scroll. Now we're choosing a card to actually put back, and it seems to have been a Ballista. Yep, makes sense. Just hoping that you will draw into a Siege engine later. All right, so this is exactly what Kwild did. Played the 3 cards. Checked if the She Who Knows can get some value, kind of easily making the bleed, defending the bleed a little bit easier there. So yeah, absolutely. Koshi, if Koshi saves Garanthir and Koshi for a short round, they usually have more points than Commandos manage to have. So we'll see if this bleed will go, which way it will go. And of course, I think Kwild would be looking for some engines here. You're looking for the Larva, you're looking for the Witch Apprentice, just things that will, you know, give you a good amount of points. We can see here Pavetta has been found and Roche Merciless have been found. No Amphibious Assault yet. That is something that Sart has missed and is still looking for. But look at that. Speak of the devil, Amphibious Assault has entered the party. Okay, double Larva, of course, can be nice into Siege because of all the armor it puts on, but 1 Larva is maybe fine. Here comes the Siege. As expected, Kwild, of course, does not have Heatwave. So this won't be answered, but rather it will be answered with points. We do also see this unfortunate Brick of the Archospore. We could tutor out a Consume, which is actually not that crazy since Kwild has found most of the stuff he needs. I like this Defender here, putting even more armor on the board, really trying to reduce any of this ping value, any of the bombardment value. That's why this one is coming out here. He mulliganed the Larry because it was on the wrong side of his hand. No. All right, here we go. Amphibious Assault. Finding that card really helped Sart here. As you can see, we're getting another Ballista that basically is not going to be answered by Kwild. It's actually pretty threatening now that we have 2 of these Siege engines ticking away, and this Defender is almost done for. It might be a little bit difficult to actually get the Witch Apprentice value on the board. Here comes the Archospore. We're definitely going to see it consume. Potentially, Sunset Wanderers will actually find Brewis. We'll see. Roche coming out here. For even more Commandos. We do see the Blue Striped Scout. The rest coming out here from the deck, saving Pavetta for round 3, along with the Amphibious Assault. Okay, well, Sart is really happy because he's guaranteed to find both Pavetta and the Amphibious Assault later. And yeah, it is too slow playing the 2 Larvas in round 1, and it also just dies to Siege. Yep, not ideal. 1 Larva and Defender I think was nice play from Kwild. All right, the point gap is getting real big, and you definitely need this Witch Apprentice. He needs points, just like Chad is saying there, and asking if this is his Anero target. It sure is. There isn't much that Kwild hasn't drawn. So this Brewis makes sense. It makes these Crones a little bit better, and you get the Consume. You're looking for this Witch Apprentice to really start ticking. All right, let's see if the Sunset Wanderers will hit the range throw for some reinforced trap value, or will it go on melee? Ideally for Kwild, it goes on melee. Sart, on the other hand, is hoping it will fall on the ranged row there. We shall see what's gonna happen. All right, chat, make your guesses. Never mind, it could go anywhere because Wispas comes down here, takes care of the trap just in case. Kwild is suspecting the RNG here on Sunset Wanderer, saying, I don't want to lose points if it goes on ranged. And look at that, it was worth it because Sunset Wanderer is being a little bit naughty and goes on a ranged row. Still, a couple of points to catch up on. Sart able to create even more Commandos, really happy, trying to shorten that round. Also has an answer for any engine with this Seltkirk. As I said before, Sart's version of this deck is the closest thing Foltest can do to actually deal with something like Koshi. So that's a pretty cool answer to have here. Nice Weave is coming down. definitely making the point gap smaller and smaller. Sad about this Witch Apprentice, however, not having gotten any value just yet. We're suspecting that's going to have to come down next. Or the baby Koshi. Maybe Kwild feels a bit threatened here and says, all right, I have to play the Garanther. And I think we are going to do so. Garanther into the baby Koshi here, saying, all right, leave me alone. If I can save this Koshi and my leader, I might still be fine in a short round. But it is threatening. And Inference also bringing up a good point that with the Sunset Wanderers hitting the ranged row, we are lacking the Sabbath for this Witch Apprentice to keep ticking. Ideally, you have these in round 2 when you're getting bled. Of course, against Siege and extra Ballistas here, this is very unlikely to live or get the Sabbath, which is a shame. And chat's also pointing out that the Treb that was killed with the Wispus had a crew pocket there, so it would have got value anyway. So Kwild making a good call there, getting rid of it. All right, now Kwild has to do a little bit of thinking. Of course, the Witch Apprentice finally getting to buff up here, playing for an 8 plus the Koshi tick and helping the Thrive. Saving the Koshi is really ideal. So if Kwild can do it, he wants to. Although Sart really nicely being able to hold on to the Seltzkirk and a leader charge, because really Sart only needs 1 leader charge for the commandos coming out of Amphibious Assault, as well as the Seltzkirk. So seeing 1 Koshi here, you're pretty happy. Because you know you can remove it, and Kwild has to go down a card, saving the Koshi, but we do see this Seltzkirk being very threatening. Which is maybe a good call to save the leader in that position. I think Sart definitely has found all of his card, really proving why people bring this list to tournaments and why it's so efficient on blue coin. It can easily win the round there with the Fultist, especially against a deck that can't really contest it. Koshi's best bet, of course, is trying to survive the bleed in round 2. Sometimes maybe it's even better if you have a Garanther or Koshi in your deck when you're getting bled by NR. Depends as well. I think a lot of people are running Heatwave to answer those sieges, for example, but yeah. All right, so we see the Koshi plus leader come down here. Of course, Kwild knows the Seltzkirk exists, so he wanted to save his leader and rather go down a card to make sure he procs the Thrives and gets another ping on the Koshi. And easiest, fastest Seltzkirk in the West coming down here. And killing the Koshi. The Koshi is out. We have a bit of a relic packet. Let's see here. What is the best pick? All right, it might just be the Ghoul. What do we have in Graveyard? It won't be the Ghoul, I think. Probably a Kikimor worker there. Something to proc Thrives with. You can't really get a better pocket for the relics than this. So the Gad Key is just going to come down for a 7 here. And we do see a lot of commandos about to come on the board here. And this just is it for Kwild. He knows the points are too many, so hence the forfeit. Nothing wrong with that. It was a really tight position Kwild was put in. He defended the bleed as well as he could. Of course, Sart really happy finding every single key piece. I don't think he missed anything. He was really happy with what he got. And the Seltzkirk tech, this is why it's in there, to be able to get rid of those Koshis. All right. That's game 2 for you. Sart taking it here. So commandos are through. What a surprise. Sart currently 2-0 in the lead. But Kwild has all the chances in the world to still catch up here. So let's see what the opponents are going to be queuing. Of course, now we have a blue coin deck. Coming in hot, maybe we still see the Koshi coming down on blue coin if we're trying to dodge the Skellige matchup. But, you know, eventually we're going to have to phase it. So Kwild is bringing the Northern Realms here on blue coin. Now, Skellige is quite nice into this if you find your answers for Foltest and can potentially push. We'll see how good Kwild, how skilled he is in terms of these draws, and if he can survive this round 1. Shout out to mods for editing the scores, and I gotta take a few sips of water. A bit of talking here, but keeping an eye on the mulligans. Okej, anteeksi, nyt juon vettä. Inside finish me. Okay, interesting choice to open here. No commandos for Kwild, it seems. Definitely not something you want to see here. Here we're looking at a maxi. Let's see what we have. Usually maxi wants to put some Bear Witchers at the bottom. Maybe you think you can dodge it with your mulligans. The interesting thing is your discard targets right now is at the bottom, but you will find your coral. And to be fair, you found already most of your stuff. Like Sart has found so much here. Solo Castle also reading chat. Hey, shout out to you guys for keeping me company. I wonder what this maxi did. Could be it's put a Bear Witcher at the bottom there. Didn't quite catch it. Maybe chat did. But yeah, I don't even actually know if we can see whether it was shuffled or whether it was kept the way it was. All right, here we go. Finding Natalis to be able to play Amphibious Assault. This is actually a bit rough, not finding the defender, not finding your siege, of course. Kwild not as lucky as Sart playing this commando deck on blue. This is definitely a little bit threatening. We are playing the Roche Merciless here. However, it seems so that the Natalis potentially could tutor out the defender then, and then the Foltest could come online, or just go for tempo. We'll see what it ends up coming with. Skellige can answer Foltest so efficiently. Going for that defender does make sense here. And yeah, playing the Roche is a little bit scary, but the siege support, of course, helping out. The scary thing about playing Roche this early is that you have to use multiple leader charges unless you have a guy like siege support. Really been a Roche supporter here, helping him pull these commandos out. Kwild is doing the best he can with these draws. I gotta say, double Belize, the siege ladder, not a lovely thing to see. All right, it actually seems like Sart is kind of like, I don't know if I want to push it here. We're playing kind of slow. We're playing Maxi, we're playing the Red Haze. Not really looking to play anything. I mean, I guess Sart is kind of in a pickle here with a hand that might be a little bit too good. No discard targets, all the bronzes, all the megascopes just there. So you can't like cheaply contest this round. It would be very expensive, and what if Kwild still manages to get the points? Then you're in a bit of a scary position. But Gerd is coming down here, getting actually cute value here. Maybe this is a bit of a commando tech from Sart. Usually you don't see Gerd, but he can be useful when your opponent is playing anything wild. The Gerd getting solid value here. Definitely Sart has the points to continue playing. No Foltest coming down here. Maybe Kwild needs to worry a little bit about these points. We'll see. All right, and Sart taking the pass here. Kwild taking it slow, maybe sensing that pass coming along. I mean, after the Gerd, you're still definitely competing further on. You're not out strictly. But we're saving the Foltest. Maybe we can draw into a defender, making it a little bit more difficult to remove later, and save this Natalis for the push. If there's any commandos that you'd like to play out here in round 2, however, you would need to Pavetta and then assault into the commandos. But there's not that much to create more commandos with, and there is no siege. And there wasn't that many commandos created in round 1 for Kwild, so if you're going to a short round, if Skellige, which, I mean, judged by this hand, Skellige would be able to defend a bleed really, really efficiently here. The bleed is not looking too good, honestly, for Kwild here. I don't know. He can definitely play out his amphibious assault, definitely put some tempo on the board, hope that you get something good. But after that, you're just gonna have to go a long round with siege and commandos and full test. Because Flurry in general is very, very good at defending bleeds. And with a hand without siege, a little bit scary for Kwild to actually go into this round. And to shorten the round is nice if you would have more commandos, I think, in the graveyard. Right now, there are so few of those commandos that your short round isn't going to be as explosive as commandos would like it to be. Of course, Sart here playing a really good card. Nice for Kwild to see it out here, especially if you find that siege later on. You know, Fanatics, of course, kind of deny some of the siege pings. Okay, just the Ballista. The Ballista is chilling. I'm wondering though, is the amphibious assault going to come down still? I guess so. And this Kudak, of course, not doing too much in this matchup either. No locks from Skellige, nothing like that. Kudak is just a solid 6-point card, unfortunately. All right, let's see what Sart decides to do. There is the squirrel threat, of course. Kwild might be considering it a little bit with the amphibious assault, and maybe doesn't even want to play it. Maybe does not want to play it. All right, Sart is saying he didn't see the amphibious assault yet. Maybe Kwild didn't even find it. Now it's really safe for Kwild to go for the amphibious assault, as the squirrel does hit a commando. One less commando for round 3. Not too great for Kwild. It is a pretty solid squirrel, because you're not spending anything expensive here while you're Sart. Kwild has gone into this really, really slow. You've already committed totems, so you're like, maybe I can save my Burna, maybe I can save my big points for round 3, because really, Kwild is not really showing that he's intending on bleeding too much. But here actually is the full test coming down. Sart does have the U-Nod, so if you leader ping and U-Nod here, you have to be pretty skilled, of course, because of this Royal Guard being able to protect the full test potentially. Or not. U-Nod can definitely hit this full test. If you want to be safe about it, you can just Heatwave him as well. This is definitely not a full test that you're looking to see. And I would say it's actually pretty scary bleeding Skellige, but maybe you're just saying they've spent nothing and I won't make it in a long round. But if that full test would survive in a long round, it's definitely some points still. 11 provision drummer full test coming down here, unfortunately, yeah. Alright, here's the heat wave. Sart wants to keep his leader pings, maybe U-Nod something else, or save those leader pings for removal on any engines. Heat wave is a definitely solid way to remove the full test. It's low on tempo, but again, Kwild's playing so slow, I don't think Sart's really in a hurry. I think what Kwild is trying to do here is trade cards, but he is going to get good stuff out, of course. Like, ideally, Sart wants to hold on to the Burna and the discard targets, because there's so many points. So what Kwild is just doing is trading, but I am worried for that short round 3. All right. Here comes the Burna. As suspected, it was kind of forced to come down there. And Kudak, Kwild continuing to trade. This Beywitcher has not enabled its Adrenaline yet. You would have to play a pretty decent card here. U-Nod is really not activated. Your Axie is going to play for some points on this A8. On this boosted Ballista, sorry, from the Marine. Well, it's going to pay for some points. And maybe your defender is then sticking. The defender potentially protecting engines. You know the heat wave is out as well, meaning that if you draw into your siege in round 3, you're not sad about that. Hubert at 2 here, going to pop off very soon. Here we go. Commando from the Amphibious Assault. Trading up cards, probably wanting to see the Sunset Wonder come out as well. It's a lot of tempo. So it's a little bit spooky if that gets to carry over to round 3. You know, you're at this point, you are going down a card. So might as well play it. Play these cards that you have. I hope that you find Siege next round. We'll see what Kwild ends up playing here. He does have to make sure he has enough Siege engines there for round 3. And maybe he doesn't want to trigger this Hubert as well. Trading Avaloch and Sunset Wonders. I think this is the pass from Kwild. We do see reinforcements creating another commando for hopefully a short round. We can use 1 leader charge here, protecting a little bit of rain. I'm curious though, I guess you have 2 leader charges plus the Hubert. But Pavetta is only a 6-point, but this Ballista, like, this is so... He can't make the points. If there is a pass from, like, a hero pass from Sarth. That's pretty funny. He can win with the Pavetta. Oh, true, yeah. You have the order on the commandos. Yeah, I totally missed that. So you can still make up the points. So then it's fair to say you can trade this card here. That is fair. He does have the reach. Never mind that. But Sarth, on the other hand, is pretty happy here just playing a slow card. I mean, the Sunset Wanderer drew the Raging Bear. You can hit it on the Axie to avoid it damaging itself. Not too bad. Alright, Squirrel still in deck, along with a Heron Kadu and 1 Bear Witcher that you do want to save for Geralt Quinn. It does seem like this Bear Witcher comes out instead. I'm not sure about that. I would have liked to have seen the bear because unless the Maxi... I guess the Maxi was actually shuffled. Yeah, there's a Bear Witcher at the bottom. Otherwise, we would have seen Coral already. Yeah, the Maxi got shuffled. Never mind that. You can play the Bear Witcher if you want to. Quinn will not be bricked because he's put the Bear Witcher at the bottom of the deck. Drawing into a Megascope, pretty decent here on the... Okay, Hubert needs to go back. But yeah, decent Megascope on the Raging Bear. Siege Ladder, not so much. And unfortunately for Kwild, this is what can happen. This deck can either draw really, really well and be so happy, you know, from Blue Coin. Kwild, unfortunately, has missed the Siege. Hubert, of course, will still show up here. But, yeah, this is looking a bit scary for Kwild, of course, for Commandos. Going back into the deck here with Pavetta, only to be tutored out with Amphibious Assault. And then, of course, Blue Stripe Scout still will do a little bit of shenanigans there. Okay. Let's see here. I wouldn't say that Siege is a throwaway card as long as you can proc it, and we can see in Kwild's hand we have a Ballista, we have 2 Siege engines, so the Siege is definitely proccable, especially with the Heat Wave out. So not exactly a throwaway card. Even in round 3, you're not happy to miss it. Coral still being able to play for solid amount of points here. Note all of the leader charges still left here. Okay, and the Quen guaranteed to find the Bear Witcher. No bricks happening. No bricks happening here. Unod coming down on the Pavetta that got damaged there from the leader. Ping the best possible target for Unod as possible. Alright. Yeah, this is looking like a scary amount of points from Sarth. Of course, Kwild can use his last leader charge here to proc the Ballista. But yeah, we were a bit unfortunate here from Kwild's side in terms of drawing our cards. Sart, on the other hand, drew a pretty impressive round one hand. Potentially a little bit too good for round one. He couldn't go, he didn't have the discard targets, didn't push round one, but was able to defend the bleed pretty nicely in round two. Able to still save some juice for this last finishing play here. Sart catching up nicely, Gwent being a big play, and double leader charge still left, so we don't even have to use it. Sart taking it 3-0. That is so fast, you guys. It's very, very fast. And the series has actually concluded 3-0 in favor of Sart. GG, well played. Yeah, the heart of the cards. You need to find your cards. Kwild learned his lesson today. All right, nice. We had some predictions. All right, very good. A lot of you predicted that Sart would take it here, and sure he does. Moving on to the next round, of course, this is the losers bracket. So you're going to be able to see Sart move on here. Let's check out the bracket right now. We have Rolero versus Sart. Currently, we are waiting for Zoltan versus Shaggy to finish up, and then we will see which one of these two will move on to losers round number 4.